Alright. Are you ready? Because I am far. That's the wrong overlay. As you can tell, I'm not very ready. How's everyone today? Doing pretty good, doing pretty alright. I mean, hey, if you ain't having fun, you ain't doing nothing, I mean. But hopefully, you're doing pretty good. Today is the first episode of the ZalCast podcast, whatever. Also, congrats on the first to exist, Wolfie. But we're gonna be talking about what is a VTuber and what is a streamer, kind of like, you know, what do they do, what kind of content they do, what makes a good streamer, stuff like that. I am not adorable. But yeah. Today we're gonna be doing, it's just gonna be basically just chatting the stream. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping by, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Arigato. Have a good one at work if you can, and all that good stuff. So, our main topic here. Here, you guys ready for the scuffness? You know, I wanted to do this a little bit better, but, you know, that's the wrong text, but it's fine. Here we go. Let's just make that smaller. So, we have this thing here. Let me shrink it a little bit. So this is our current topic. It's kind of up there a little bit. And yeah. Missed the start. Nothing fancy happened at the start, to be honest. Just some casual stuff. Talking about how everyone's doing today. And, you know, I have a lot of people here that normally don't drop by too often, which I'm pretty happy about, to say the least. And like always, my mods are looking about. But yeah, I'm gonna be talking about, like, pretty in-depth about what a VTuber is, what a streamer is, and kind of like... I don't have anyone with me with my guest. So, if you guys wanna, like, add in your opinions, thoughts, and all that, I will, add on to it, give my opinion and all that stuff. So, first off is, you know, what is a VTuber? What are these? What am I? What is the VTuber community? Actually, no, I actually meant to start with the streamer, but VTuber works. So, you know, as a basic kind of definition of what a VTuber is, it's like a VTuber is someone who's represented by a virtual avatar, and they also claim themselves to be VTubers. Now, this is kind of really broad because this can entail like Final Fantasy VTubers, VR chat VTubers, 3D VTubers, 2D VTubers, all different kinds of VTubers. You know, and then you can also have people who are like IRL streamers who are also VTubers, and it's a kind of an interesting thing because, you know, a PNG VTuber also counts, where they classify themselves as a VTuber, which, you know, makes them fall into the VTuber community, which kind of what separates VTubers from the rest of the world, I'd say. Because I'd say VTubers are no different than streamers. It's just they're in different environments and they're in different communities compared to streamers, which has set an interesting environment for VTubers to grow in, communicate with, collab with, converse with each other. And, you know, it kind of all started, most people know it starting from Kizuna Ai as the first VTuber. However, there were VTubers even before then. However, they're not that well known, so I'm not going to really talk about the history of VTubers. But there's been plenty of VTubers who, you know, are PNG VTubers, so they're represented by a PNG. So even if they're like, the important part is with PNG VTubers is that they classify themselves as a VTuber. because you have a bunch of content creators that go by virtual avatars, Corpse Husband, Nux Taku, and hundreds of others that I can't name at the moment. But they don't necessarily classify themselves as a VTuber. They're just a normal content creator. And I think that's a really important division between what the difference is between a streamer, a content creator, and then a VTuber. I'd say content creator is a type of VTuber is a type of content creator. It's just they label themselves differently and do different activities as a VTuber. And mostly it's the same as a normal content creator, but in some regards, the content that a VTuber does is focused on other VTubers, I should say. Because in the first place, I feel like VTubers wouldn't have come around if they didn't interact with each other. If there was only one VTuber, would you even call that a VTuber in that situation? Like, if you knew Kizna I, right? And before she interacted with other quote-unquote VTubers, was she really a VTuber or was she more of a content creator? So I think it's really important that when we talk about VTubers, we're strictly talking about people who classify themselves as a VTuber and not as another content creator. Yeah, a V creator. But I'd also say a V creator is different than a VTuber, because a VTuber focuses on the VTubing community, while a virtual creator focuses on just the general population of content enjoyers. Virtual streamer, like there's VR chat streamers, which are virtual streamers, but they're not VTubers. But some VR chat streamers are VTubers because they classify themselves as VTubers, right? So it kind of gets really confusing on what is actually a VTuber. At first it may seem really simple. It's like, okay, it is a person who's represented by a virtual avatar, but they also have to classify themselves as a VTuber. Which also makes it kind of dumb, because that means literally anyone that just has a picture can classify themselves as a VTuber. Now, granted, that doesn't actually mean the quality of their content, but I'm just saying technically everyone can be a VTuber if they just have a picture to represent themselves in the situation, right? But would you still actually call them a VTuber if they're represented by a PNG and only a PNG? Like a PNG tuber? Like, would you still, think about that and think, there is a reason why some people call them PNG tubers instead of VTubers, because they're only represented by a PNG. Now, for me personally, I think PNG VTubers are still VTubers, but there's still a very large difference between a 2D VTuber, a 3D VTuber, a PNG VTuber, a VR VTuber. There's pretty different levels of what you can expect out of their content. So it's better to say that a VTuber is a special kind of streamer, content creator that creates content based off of what their avatar is. I think that's more of an appropriate definition for VTubers, because if they're a VTweeter like Weed Heater has mentioned, their content is solely on Twitter, so they're just a virtual tweeter, and they're just an avatar that tweets stuff. And a PNG VTuber, you can expect that most of their content is going to be based off of maybe the game and their PNG, or maybe some commentary with some reactive PNGs. But the difference between these two is now you have a 2D VTuber who is like myself, whose content focuses on my avatar and the game, and I can actually move around and do, movement and expressions and all of this random stuff, And I think that is a very large difference. So I'd say the expectations are different for 2D VTubers, and then you have 3D VTubers, which are VTubers that use 3D models, and sometimes they can't move their arms, sometimes they can be full body. So VTuber is more just of a broad term used for more of a classification of a community and just a representation of what these very specific avatar-based content creators are. Because you can be a V streamer and also be a VTuber, right? Because before, when I became a VTuber and debuted, I more classified myself as a V streamer, but I also still was a VTuber at the same time. But the difference is that there's different types of VTubers. There's the VTweeters, the PNG tubers, the 3D VTubers, 2D VTubers, VR chat VTubers, React, like, you know, there's all different kinds of VTubers, you know. But the important thing is that they classify themselves as a VTuber. Because would you say Noxtaku's a VTuber if he claimed himself to be a VTuber? I think you would. But he doesn't. And that's a very large difference because there's two very... He did? Okay, I'm not too knowledgeable on that Noxtaku. But if you look at Corpse Husband, okay, he doesn't claim himself as a VTuber. He's just a faceless content creator. Which is different from VTubers because their communities are different. Which is kind of weird in some sense because they're pretty much the same thing, but you're targeting a different audience that basically watches the same thing under a different name. Which is kind of strange. Because if you're a VTuber watcher, you watch VTubers. But I'd also say there's a chance that you watch other faceless content creators. And vice versa. But it's weird because there's a community divide between a VTuber and a faceless content creator who goes by a virtual avatar. Which is kind of strange if you think about it, because the audiences are basically the same, but at the same time with VTubers, the difference in community between VTubers and, you know, the general populace of content creation is that VTubers are focusing a smaller audience, so it makes it easier for them to grow. Because when you're a faceless content creator, you're targeting an audience that is the VTubing audience, and you're also targeting the general populace of content consumers. And I think that's pretty important to know, because you'll see VTubers grow at extreme rates. Like, they'll get partner, they'll get Twitch partner, YouTube partner, in the span of 4 months. But if you compare that to the average growth of any other content creator, their growth is very slow and steady. But VTuber growth is very exponential, and I think a large portion to it as why that happens is because they're targeting a smaller audience rather than the bigger audience. And that community kind of has accepted themselves as like VTuber watchers. So they'll watch people that claim themselves as VTubers rather than people that don't claim themselves as VTubers, even though they're practically the same thing. Now, that's pretty much a very interesting thing about VTubers, is because they're monopolizing the fact that they're targeting a smaller audience and they build upon it. While faceless content creators and virtual content creators focus on a very large audience and have steady growth and stable growth, while a VTuber's growth is very exponential and sporadic. Because you can have VTubers that pop off, like Artemis, for example, or even in my own VTuber group, Milky Ways, where they had steady growth for a while, but then all of a sudden they just completely exponentially blew up out of nowhere. Specifically because of the VTubing community. Artemis. Yes, she's a shark VTuber, Artemis of the Blue. And you can also see this with Gargura. Because there was before Hololive English, there was an English VTubing community. Yes. Yes, that's how you spell it. Artemis. And they didn't really have, like, top VTubers per se. There was a couple figures that were prominent. But then when Hololive English came around, the audience that Hololive English was literally targeting was the English VTubing community. So she was able to target that audience and captivate them. At the same time, she was able to captivate the general consumer of content as well, which led to her exponential growth because she had steady growth and exponential growth on top of that. Which is kind of crazy to think about because she hit 1 million in the span of 4 months on YouTube. Which is pretty crazy growth. And that goes for the same for all the other Hololive English girls. It's just the fact that they can divide their community into two, between two different audiences. The VTubing fans and the not VTuber fans, but still content consumers. And it's a very unique aspect of VTubers, which is very interesting. Like, this is the same thing as what, like, most YouTubers, streamers, they focus on one community, a game community. So, like, sometimes you'll see people grow into a partner because of one game. Because they're a Tetris streamer. They're a League of Legends streamer. They're a Valorant streamer. They're purposely focusing on one community to grow. But in this case, VTubers are doing the same thing, but instead of a game, it's more of a classification of a streamer than anything else. Because each VTuber's content is different from one another. They might be similar, but in reality, they all are different. Which makes it very interesting because they're doing what normal streamers are doing by focusing on a single game to grow. But instead, they're focusing on one type of content consumer, which is a VTuber fan. Which is very, very interesting. So aside from the fact that, you know, VTubers focus on more of the VTubing audience, VTubers do stream as well, which kind of brings up a big fact. Because before, VTubers were more people that created YouTube content rather than stream content originally. Hence where the term VTuber came from Kizuna Ai and Hololive and Nijisanji, where they are YouTubers. But now we have V streamers, which would be the proper term, but they don't even have content on YouTube. So some might say that a VTuber is a virtual content creator who creates content on YouTube. So then there's a pretty weird classification. Like, when VTubing started picking up, what's the difference between a V streamer and a VTuber? And my opinion is there's basically none, because of how the definition has kind of really changed for VTubers. Because I'd say the definition of a VTuber has changed over time. Because before, it used to be, you know, YouTubers who are virtual, who classified them as a virtual YouTuber, VTuber, that have a virtual avatar that did content on YouTube. But it's grown to the point where that definition doesn't exactly fit the word anymore. So there might be some people who say, well, technically you're a V streamer, and technically they are right, but at the same time they're wrong because the definition of VTuber has changed in the first place. Because people use it so loosely that the definition doesn't exactly even apply to it anymore. And so that brings up my next question is what is a streamer in the first place? And now this has a lot of conversation going around it because the definition of streaming has changed over the past few years. I myself have been streaming for 6 years, and the definition of a streamer has definitely changed. And I'd say that's also happened with VTubers as well. But with streamers in the past, I'm gonna take the definition between 6 to 10 years ago. Now, this is gonna be very different on what a streamer is nowadays. But a streamer back then was a person, not an entertainer, a person, not even having to have a face cam or anything, but a person who streamed playing games. They had a live broadcast of them playing games. That was what the definition of a streamer was 6 to 10 years ago. Now, some would say, yeah, that is true, but there's more to that now. A lot more to that. And yes, that is, you're correct. Now, a streamer, what in my opinion is they are a live broadcaster who entertains their audience with their content. Now, I just threw in a lot of different words there now. So, they're still a live broadcaster, yes. They entertain, compared to before they just played games. And their audience, because now they have an audience that they have to entertain, rather than older streamers where there wasn't enough streamers in the first place to have a community. There was, I guess, some semblance of a community, but there wasn't really a specific community per streamer. It just simply wasn't that popular back then. Sure, you had more popular streamers back then, but it's not like they had one defined community. Like, you can easily see this. If you have seen, like, streamers in the past, and they stop streaming, and now they try to stream again, they don't have an audience. Because the general audience was for just streamers at that time, and whoever streamed and whoever was slightly more entertaining than the other, or whoever's gameplay was more entertaining than the other person's. Or maybe just that they liked their voice better, or how they looked, etc. But they weren't necessarily entertainers like they are now. And because now they're an entertainer, they have an audience to entertain, rather than just kind of a general populace that just watched people play games online. So a streamer now, in my opinion, is a person who creates content, who is an entertainer who entertains their audience, and interacts with their audience and makes content. Streamer in the past was a person who played games on a live broadcast. So it's really changed over the time. Also, I'm holding my pen, my tablet pen at the moment for some reason. But it definitely has changed over the years. And I don't know if people have, like, some people in the audience here, I don't know if a lot of you, like, have seen streamers back then and streamers now, but I can definitely tell you, as someone who has streamed for 6 years and has watched for 9 years, there is a pretty hard fundamental difference on what makes a streamer and what makes a streamer before and now. It's very different. And you know, a streamer is another broad term, but it's a pretty specific term as well, unlike VTuber. Because I'd say a VTuber is a lot more broad than a streamer. Because a VTuber is trying to classify as streamer. Yeah, like streaming is now like a legitimate form of entertainment. So it is very, but I'd say streamer is a very specific yet broad term, but it applies to a lot of people. Well, then that would be a YouTuber, right? Because their content is videos and not a broadcast. Because I feel like there is a reason why we separate streamer and a just chatting streamer. Because the definition of VTubers has changed. I literally just talked about this. The usage of VTubers, the definition used to be like strictly for YouTube content creators. But now because it's being used so loosely and so broadly, the definition of it has changed, in my opinion. Because a VTuber is someone who classifies themselves as a VTuber now. While before, you can definitely say that a VTuber was someone who created content on YouTube who was a virtual content creator. But because now people use the word VTuber so loosely now, it's changed. Like how the definition of a streamer has changed. And that's kind of hard to see. I'm not doing Scout Feminine voice for this stream, Jar Jar. I'm sorry. I will refund you. And it's kind of weird because a lot of people are fixed on the definition that they're taught. But it's really hard for the brain to think that a word means a different thing now. It's hard to get over that. Like that realization that it's changed. Yeah, like how Ichibana said, it's now kind of just changed. And, you know, the word that meant literally what it was is now changed. Is very weird to think about. Ark, if you can refund, I can VTuber. Would consider someone who was using an anime filter VTuber. Now, if they classify themselves as a VTuber, there's a very important difference that what makes a VTuber not a VTuber now is that they classify themselves as one. Because people will say that you're a VTuber if you say that you're a VTuber. But people won't call you a VTuber if you don't call yourself one. Yes, in theory, you could be a VTuber, but not be a VTuber. That would just make you now, instead of a VTuber, a virtual content creator. A V-streamer. And if you don't want to be called a VTuber, you can just be a digital content creator instead. Or a virtual content creator, or virtual YouTube maker, whatever. Yeah. Pretty much. And it's kind of interesting because it's as simple as people just saying, as you just saying that you are a VTuber, or saying you are not a VTuber. And now you have two completely different audiences based off of that statement alone. Which is pretty crazy just to think about it. Just by one statement, you're targeting different audiences. And I mean, it's not that crazy, but with just one statement, even though your content still is the same, you're targeting two different audiences. Which is kind of like politics at that point. Because with just one phrase, you're targeting different audiences, different populations, which is kind of dumb in some sense. Even though what you do is completely different to what you say, or what you do doesn't really regard of what you actually say. Like, if anime didn't have a name for it, would you just call it television? Like, if anime didn't say it wasn't anime, then would you still call it anime? Would it be a cartoon then? It's literally that one exact statement, I am or I am not, which completely changes the market that you're trying to hit for the entertainment. Oh. My bad. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Which is basically kind of like this argument between, and I've seen this a lot, is a streamer a VTuber? No, but a VTuber is a streamer. Like, a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle is not a square. Fundamentally, they are the same, in some sense. At least part of it. I guess I should use a different term instead of streamer. Is a content creator a VTuber? Yes. And no at the same time. It gets pretty weird. Because ultimately, it kind of depends on what you classify a content creator. Would you call a VTweeter a content creator? Okay, but if they're still considered a VTuber, then is a VTuber a content creator? Yes and no, because the term is too broad. Yeah, so the top line is directly, like, you directly see it. So it translates from chat and it'll do it, the top lines. But the chat on the stream is through my broadcast, which has a delay. Yeah, literally the VTuber definition has become so broadly used, where it's literally just anyone claims themselves to be a VTuber and they have some virtual presence that they're a VTuber now. Whether that's good or bad, that's up for you to decide. Yeah. It's kind of funny because it's kind of like a philosophy question. Are you a human? Well, if you claim yourself to be one, maybe. So then, if you claim yourself to be a VTuber, are you a VTuber? Well, at this point, it's used so loosely that, yeah, you are. And it's just kind of weird. Because now we have like V-tweeters, V-artists, V-streamers, V-tubers, like, you know, the old actual term that it was used for. And then we have virtual content creators and faceless streamers. So, in the end, they are still a YouTuber if they do content on YouTube, and they're still a streamer if they stream on YouTube or Twitch. At this point, VTubing literally revolves around if it's animated or if they just literally call themselves a VTuber. Because is a PNG a VTuber? Is a PNG tuber a VTuber? If they are, then that question doesn't even matter, Jar Jar. It's not even a matter if they move or not. It's more, if you claim yourself to be a VTuber, then yeah, you're a VTuber. Like, think about it. When I was still pre-debut, when I didn't have my movie model, and I didn't have a quote-unquote debut, was I a VTuber? I said I was a VTuber and a V-streamer. So, in that case, that just, the question doesn't really matter if it moves or doesn't. Yeah, so in your case, Jar Jar, and then in your title you said you're a VTuber, so I thought, oh, a VTuber. So yeah, it pretty much means a VTuber is someone who claims to be a VTuber, pretty much. And a VTuber is someone who is represented by a virtual representation, persona, avatar, whatever, regardless if it moves or not. And a VTuber can be someone who possibly creates content or possibly doesn't because of how it's used. So, in this case, we have 1. Is a VTuber if claims to be VTuber. 2. Has a virtual representation. And 3. Maybe creates content. But the third thing doesn't even matter. 1 and 2, what makes you a VTuber, pretty much. First, you have to claim that you're a VTuber. And then secondly, you have to have some virtual representation. Which is kind of interesting. Because at this point, you don't even need to be a content creator to be a VTuber. Yeah, pretty much. So literally, if someone talked to you as they're represented by a toilet PNG and they claim that they were a VTuber, now they're a toilet VTuber. Because the word VTuber is used so loosely now. I mean, some people don't have virtual personas. Actually, I'd say a lot of people don't have a virtual persona. They might go by a different name, but the important part is that they're not claiming themselves to be a VTuber. Like, if you remember on Twitter, and I don't know how many of you are actually involved in like the VTuber Twitter community, but in the past there was this entire thing about the god VTubers who were meme accounts that claimed themselves as VTubers that had a virtual representation. So because of that entire situation, they were technically VTubers, but there was a lot of people saying that they weren't VTubers. Like, there was God VTuber Barney, God VTuber whatever. And a lot of people were calling them out to be fake. But then there was also a crowd that said, but they're not fake. And so that brings into the third reason that I said is maybe they create content. And that's the what if kind of. If they create content, are they a VTuber? If they don't, are they not a VTuber? And then that's where people are divided. Because if they don't create content, then some will say that they're not a VTuber, and some will say they are a VTuber. And at that point, it's just a matter of a difference of opinion. Because I'm pretty sure everyone can agree that a VTuber who creates content is a VTuber if they claimed, and we did 1 and 2, right? But the third situation is when they are a VTuber but don't make content. Then are they a VTuber? Yes and no. It's more of just a matter of opinion at that point. Because of how the definition of VTubers is so broad. So it is up to interpretation at that stage where if they make content or not. Yeah. But some people think otherwise. And I'm not saying their opinion is wrong. But the third situation is if they claim themselves to be a VTuber, that's the first check. And the second thing is that they have a virtual representation. Then there's this third one as well, which if they don't create content, are they a VTuber? And then people argue over that. Because we have V-tweeters, V-redditors, and some might say that they're VTubers, and some will say that they're not VTubers. I mean, Ark, I'd say you're right. But because of how the definition of VTubers has really changed, you're not wrong. You're right, but also the definition of VTuber also says that a V streamer is a VTuber now. But on the flip side of what is a streamer, there isn't really much to debate. Whoops, I dropped my pen. Isn't a VTuber or streamer one that yeah, so that's what I said, is it's one person. It is a person that claims themselves to be a VTuber. And the second is that they are virtually represented. But there's arguments on a third clause, which is someone who creates content. Are they a VTuber? Or are they someone, and if they don't create content, are they a VTuber? Yeah, so a VTuber is not someone who is virtually representative with an avatar. Hi Stussberg, thank you so much for the follow, I really appreciate it. Welcome to the game room, I hope you enjoy your stay. Everyone's coming in late, and like I've already had these arguments, and I keep repeating them. Can a PNG classify themselves as VTuber since they're using a virtual icon to represent themselves? In this case, if they create content, some would say yes, and if they don't create content, some would say no. But with the definition that I said, yes, they are a VTuber. But some might argue that you're not a VTuber because you don't create content. The first 1 and 2 have to be true to be a VTuber no matter what. So the first clause is you have to claim yourself as a VTuber, and the second is that you are digitally represented by a virtual avatar. But that, like, everyone can pretty much agree that that's what a VTuber is. But then an argument happens is if they are a VTuber if they don't create content. Yeah. So Shaw, I would say because you don't classify yourself as a VTuber, you're just a virtual content creator and not a VTuber. Or a faceless streamer or a faceless content creator. The important part is if you classify yourself as a VTuber. Also, hello, Heist Expert and Cheddar Cheese. Try to stay on topic, especially with something like this, Cheddar Cheese, where it's completely off topic. Because you can come off as trolling. But, you know, so in this case, a streamer is not a VTuber, but a VTuber can be a streamer. Which is pretty important because on Twitch we have streamers. And VTubers, a streamer is not a VTuber, but a VTuber can be a streamer. And it kind of brings me back to that kind of saying where there's this argument right now that Twitch should have a tag for VTubers or a virtual streamer. And there's actually a petition on Twitch's site that if this tag should be created or not. But as we've been kind of talking before, is what makes a VTuber is really weird because it's more of just if they call themselves a VTuber or not. Because is VTubing content? Like, think about it. Most of Twitch's tags are based off of the content that they create. ASMR is a content. LGBTQ is content in it. Well, not really, and I don't really want to get into that because that's politics. But most of Twitch's tags are used as classifications of the content that they create. Also, hello Tifa, how you doing today? Doing pretty good, doing pretty alright. I mean, if you ain't having fun, you ain't doing right for me. But hopefully you're doing pretty good. So, there's been a lot of arguments about the VTuber tag, if it should be added to Twitch or not, because VTubing is not a content. That's just a streamer. And I think that's pretty important to know because in Twitch's eyes, VTubers are just streamers. And so there's no need for them to create a tag for VTubers in that situation. Because VTubing is not a type of content. It's a type of streamer. And Twitch's tags are focused on the type of content. Most of the time. Like, Twitch doesn't have a tag for face cam streamer and not face cam streamer. So, in that situation, why would you need a tag for a VTuber and a normal streamer, face cam or not face cam? And that's one part of the argument. And some would say that... And some would really say that, you know, VTubing is a type of content because of their avatar. Well, then why do the virtual streamers who have virtual avatars that represent them not considered a VTuber? Then it's, you know, the argument again is, you have to claim yourself to be as a VTuber. Yeah, they want VTubing to be normalized. Yeah, I think that's a good place to take a little break. And I really suggest talking about your ideas and opinions in a chat. I've kind of talked about this for an hour now, and I need to check up if I have food available or not, because I haven't eaten thing all day. So I need to go to get some food. So, also, while I'm gone to go check up on food, how was everyone today aside from our conversation? Hopefully you guys are having an alright evening, night, day, whatever time it is for you. Hopefully everyone's vibing and having a decent time. Dead inside in pain, throat pain. I'm alright myself. I've been sore all day. I've been like with the Audica stream yesterday. I really kind of burned out my knees. So I've been like really sore today. Because yesterday I did a lot of like I did exercise and some physical work. And so I'm still really sore from that. I learned not to go in jar. Yeah, try not to go into jars when it revolves around VTubers, because most people know it as the cum jar. Yeah. So the next things I'm gonna talk about is so after when I go check, I'm gonna be talking about like what is a community for these people, for streamers, and like what kind of makes a good streamer, what kind of makes a streamer successful, kind of stuff like that. Because we've already kind of like, I have this little document here that has a couple of points I want to get to. But currently what I'm going to be talking about next is so we kind of decided on what a VTuber is, and like if they are a VTuber or not a VTuber, and kind of where the argument kind of happens. So, putting that aside, now I kind of want to discuss on like, what do they... This kind of is like a little bit off topic of the like main thing, which it's been about an hour of talking about this kind of topic, so I'm gonna be switching it up. Okay, so how does one... Let me word this properly, because how I have it written is what kind of content are you going to create? What makes a good streamer? What defines a streamer success in a community? What's that? What is a community for... Hold up. Let me move this over. I need to put this above. Scuffed 100. Hold up, I'm just gonna... Alright, it's kind of large. Let me make it smaller. Alright. So I'll leave the question as that. Because I think we can definitely argue and kind of talk about a community in itself. Because a community is very, very broad. So I'm gonna go see if I can go get some food. So I will BRB. I'd like if you guys want to think about the question and all that. Yeah. But I will put this question in chat actually before I do anything. Because I will be going to my BRB screen. Actually, I'll just do that. So yeah, I'll BRB real quick. Pew 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 mute. I'm back, by the way. I forgot to mute myself. Whoopsie. I have food. So. Okay. So yeah, I've obtained food. I have some dumplings. Also known as pot stickers. This okay, so let's see, what did I miss? Yeah, so this topic is a little broad, and I'm gonna be eating. So first, I'm gonna eat and then I'll talk because I'm starving. But while I'm eating, what have you guys ate today, if anything? Had a burger, noodles. What about you, Tife and Weed Eater? Chicken everything, stonks. A lot of the pot stickers got stuck to the pot, ironically. So yeah. Hold up, I need to move my microphone a little bit. Chicken? Just the meat chicken? What'd you have it with? I have pork pot stickers. Vegetable mix. So this subject, right? This is gonna be pretty broad, and I'm gonna really stray off a topic a lot, because what I want to talk about isn't just exactly what a community is, but more of like, how do VTubers and streamers grow in the first place? And so if you're an upcoming VTuber or streamer, I really suggest you listen into this, because, you know, I do manage a VTuber group, and, you know, that involves helping them grow, kind of understanding what they want to do, what their goals are, and how to achieve them. So if you're interested in about that stuff, I suggest you really listen in after I'm done eating. Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about this, but I think brand is also, like, it requires your community as well. Because do you really have a brand if you don't have a community to support your brand? I'm gonna be eating a while. I mean, for me, I'd say You can't have a brand without a community. Because you can have a community, but you don't need a brand. But a brand needs a community. Period. At least that's what I'd like to say. I'm no professional at marketing or anything like this. So especially this part of the stream, it's going to be very opinion based and what I've learned over my 6 years of streaming. So take it for you want, maybe change it, maybe agree with it, but really think about what I'm saying and make your own opinion and judgment about it. Ichiban, I'd say that's a brand, not a community. Because a community can just be a group of humans, right? So, like, if we go by what you were saying, right? So, if I were to create a community of humans, the target demographic would be humans. Preparing to build it would be like, what? Preparing, like, having houses, and then actually building it would just be breeding, having sex with each other, question mark? Keg W. This is why my streams are mature. I mean, based off of your definition, that would be a human community, right? Off of what you've said. So, you know, I don't think a community is that easy to kind of explain. Well, it kind of is. I think a community, for me at least, it's a group of people, businesses, a group of individual beings that have come together in similar interests. For whatever interest that is. Because you live together, because you're a fan of something, because you want to make money, etc. Hello, Bogsy. Good morning. There is no comma, so it kind of you know, if there is a comma, I bet you know, there's no comma. Look, if it works, it works. I mean, it's kind of like that sentence, and I'm pretty sure everyone in America has fucking heard this, but let's eat grandma. If there's no comma, that means you're eating grandma. If there's a comma, let's eat grandma, then, you know, you're saying let's go eat grandma. How's your morning so far, Bogsy? We're currently just kind of taking a small break while I'm eating. Whose stream notification did you wake up to? Want to play some Smash? Nice. Don't you have to like hang out in VR in like an hour? The one playing Apex right now. Hello? Who's playing Apex right now? Oh, Mousy. Wasn't there an announcement today in your Discord saying... Let's see here. No stream tonight, gonna vibe in VR chat around 11 p.m. EST. That was yesterday. Never mind. I am time lost. Look, I read that yesterday at 12 a.m. Will be today at 10 a.m. So, you know, when it was today, I read it as literally today when I read it. And it was 12 a.m. at that point, so I considered it the next day. And I didn't bother checking the thing. Yeah, Bogsy, you missed a large part of me trying to discuss with chat on what a VTuber is and what makes a VTuber in the first place. And what classifies as a VTuber. Indeed, the Bogsy of the bottom. Tife got called a MILF today on Twitter. And then I pinged Casual because, you know, his Genshin name is MILF Onesan Lover 69. How to expose coordinate members 101. According to Tife, I'm wife of Yui because of the NSW art that I got. You know, I press X for doubt, Bogsy. For you never get exposed. What do you mean Bogzul X? There shouldn't be a question, that should be an answer. Bogzul. Oh, okay, yeah. I thought, yeah, I thought, You know, in VR chat, I'm reminded that Bogsy always sometimes say, you know, Vaz, step on me or sit on me. There's even an art of it. Oh, hiccup. Mogzul, the best ship in coordinate, Tech W. Thank you for the hydration. Sorry, I was chewing a very crunchy piece of pot sticker. And then when I drank the drink that I'm having, I was, you know, letting it go down my throat. You know, like, slowly going down my throat because it was too thick. So I couldn't speak. Higher-dation! No. I know it's spelled higher-dation, but I don't say it like that. I know they're supposed to be. They got overcooked. You know, one day I want to do an actual photo shoot in VR chat. like, I don't, like, you know, I've always done like photography, like, not all the time, but I do want to like just have a bunch of people like just be models for stuff. So here, let me show you what I mean. Why is Megalovania in my head? I don't know. So, this is what I'm referring to. This was a picture in VR chat. Just some other pictures I have. Bop. This was just me taking pictures of my own model, so yeah. Let's see, where are some other ones? I took some of Zalozz. Yeah. Anyways, I want to take more pictures. So, yeah. I'm almost done eating, by the way. Alright. Alright. I am now finished eating. Stonks. So, let me talk about how VTubers and streamers grow. So, if you're a streamer, want to become a streamer, upcoming VTuber, whatever, take what you want out of it, make it your own. This is what I think from what I've been told from people, and you know, made it my own. Oh, do the same. Refine the idea, or take it how you want, or throw it in the garbage, whatever you want. Take it with a grain of salt and ketchup, question mark. I don't know. I'm pointing at Jar Jar and Tifa right now. And May, and a couple other people who are lurking. So first off, you know, as a streamer, when you first start off as a streamer VTuber, so what you're doing is you're a content creator. So what that entails is you create content, which is something that people consume. Right? So that's like the bare basics. So, the first question is how is that content going to be discovered? That is the first point. What is your discovery platform? Do you want it to be discovered on Twitter, Reddit, a game community, etc.? It's important to know where... Sorry, I am still digesting food. It's important to know where your discovery platform is. So, for VTubers, mostly it's Twitter. And it's sad, but Twitter is pretty much the mainstream discovery platform for VTubers. alongside Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And now TikTok as well. I guess TikTok is now a legitimate way for a discovery platform, but it hasn't really been discovered to, like, it hasn't been invested in too much, so it's a very untapped market, so you will have difficulties being discovered on TikTok, but there is a chance that you can make it work. Emmy from Cornet Digital. Secondly, this is pretty obvious, but you make content as a content creator. So, you know, the content that you create is basically your core. So what you actually do, people consume it, watch it, etc., right? That one's pretty obvious, you know? If you don't have enough content, you just need to make more. That's pretty simple, and I don't think I need to go into that anymore. And that's your core. Now, the last one is kind of what I was talking about earlier. For your community for a streamer is what I call, and several others call, your engagement platform. How do you engage with your community? How do you interact with the people that consume your content? How do you do this? Through your Discord, through your Twitter, through Reddit, through comments on YouTube? How do you interact with your community so that they stay connected with you and watch your core platform, and can also become a source of discovery for you if they make subtitles, translations, clip videos? This is really important, and I myself as a streamer am very bad at. Because, frankly, I'm not good at managing communities. I used to be, but not as much as anymore. And, you know, I'm not that good at it. And that's my biggest con. If I try to get over my self-doubt and say that my content is good, and say that my discovery is good, what I'm lacking as a content creator is my engagement. So, that's really important to know, because you can always grow as a streamer. You just have to focus on one part. You can either strengthen your discovery, you can strengthen your content so people enjoy it more, or you can strengthen your engagement so you can have a better connected community so that they always stay back. Because you can go through thousands of new viewers, thousands of new followers like I have, but if you don't connect with them as your engagement platform, they won't stay. And if you don't have content, your core to consume, they're just gonna forget about you. So, you know. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious what the, you know, the second one is, you know, your core platform. Twitch, YouTube, whatever. If you're a VTweeter, Twitter is everything, so... If you're a TikToker, TikTok is everything. Maybe your discovery platform can reach out to Reddit as well, right? But, like, these are your big 3 fundamentals for growth as a streamer. Like, purely in numbers, this is how you grow. You focus on one of them that you're weak at. You focus on it, you work on it, and then you work on the other ones, and back and forth. You work on your discovery, you work on your content, you work on your community. Repeat, 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 repeat. And then people will grow. This is pretty evident. You know, normally when people have large Twitter, they have a lot of a community, and I wonder why. Yeah. And for the current people who are content creators, streamers, VTubers in the chat, what do you think about what I've said so far? Do you kind of agree with it? Do you disagree? You know, what do you think about it? And obviously we can go into depth with each one, right? So let's take the discovery platform for example. Alright, so Twitter is your discovery platform. Now, let's get into furthering this. What target audience are we targeting on Twitter and specifically? Are we targeting VTubers? Are we targeting VTuber watchers? Are we targeting translators? Are we targeting whatever audience that we're aiming for? Are we aiming for musicians, artists, graphic designers? Are we targeting the horny? Are we targeting the lewd, the say-so, the memers, the TikTokers, whatever? What audience are we trying to shoot for here? You know, this is important because with discovery, you have to kind of pick an audience you want to get people from. Let's talk about Milky's case, alright? So, with Milky from Coordinate Digital, who is now a Twitch partner, right? Before she became a partner and all that stuff, she was just a simple streamer who, you know, averaged 5 viewers, and that was from like my stream, Boggy stream, whoever it is. Because that's what was her connections, right? But she started working on her Twitter, which she started targeting the kind of people who want a lewd, mature audience. And once she kind of discovered on what audience she is targeting for, she figures out on how to be discovered by them. So if you're targeting like the horny, the degenerate, the lewd, you know, then your content should be focused around your discovery content. So your post on Twitter, what you post on, like what you do on Twitter and what you post on Twitter should be geared towards attracting those people and bringing them in as followers. And then you can make those from your discovery platform into your community. And then you make bigger connections, which is your discovery, and you make them into your own community. And then, after she got a huge interest, then she targeted her focus into her content to make it better so people will actually stay for it. That's why it took a little bit until she blew up completely. There was a point where she was getting average from 60 to 100. And this was about the time when we had Gen 1's collab, Wave 1's collab between all of the members. This was about that time. And then she really started working on her community and her content. And then she blew up into partner status, at averaging about 200 per stream on any given day at any given time. So, that's important to know because that's how you grow. But there's also another aspect to this, which is kind of used in business, is what are your strengths and weaknesses? I forget what the diagram is called, I'm not a professional. But what are your opportunities, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what audiences are we kind of targeting? What are your strengths as a streamer? What can you offer to people that can be entertaining? Can you offer ASMR? Can you offer being lewd and horny? Or can you be serious, knowledgeable, informative? Can you be memey? Can you blah 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 blah, etc.? What can you actually offer to people that is strong and that you're good at and that's your core? Those are your strengths. Now, on the flip side, what are you not good at? it's important to know what you're strong at and what you're weak at if you want to take VTubing seriously. Are you not good at singing, like myself? Are you not good at socialization? Are you, can you not draw? And, what other weaknesses? You can't voice act, you can't sing, you can't graphic design, you can't music video editing, you can't mix, you can't blah 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 blah. You can go on forever and forever, right? It's important to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, because then you know what your opportunities are. What are your opportunities? Okay, so how can you utilize your strengths to your advantage? And how can you help your weaknesses become stronger and become more foundation for you? It's important to know these things, because then you can target a larger audience and a broader audience, which means you have more potential of being discovered as a content creator. Can you sing? If you can't sing, maybe you want to try singing. And, also knowing your opportunities, you can make fun of your weaknesses, like Weed Eater I said. Like, I can't even sing. I don't, just, you can make dumb memes about whatever you do and what your weaknesses are, and it becomes interesting, and immediately you have interested a potential fan, community member, whoever. So you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, and then you can discover what your opportunities are. And I'm forgetting the last, okay, I searched it up properly. It's called the strengths, weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So the last one is threats. So, after figuring out what your strengths and weaknesses are and what your opportunities to be, what are the threats to you as a content creator? Are you in the market of a bunch of utietes? Then your utiete comrades are your threats, because they can take your community away from you and they can bring in more engagement from you. Can you be doxxed, and will that jeopardize your status? If you're a just chatting streamer, you know how many other just chatting streamers there are? Those are your big, threats. And even one threat could be is that there is no community for what you're trying to do. So how do you use your strengths, your weaknesses, and your opportunities to overcome that threat? And if you take this VTubing actually seriously, and not ignoring the dumb stuff that's going in chat, copyrights, leakers, I'm talking from a purely content perspective. Those are challenges, but they're not exactly threats that will affect you. Copyrights will, but, that I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about what could actually make you lose your opportunities and your potential future growth. Are there so many streamers, as a streamer, you're already faced with one threat starting off. There is a million other streamers on Twitch and YouTube combined. That is your number one threat as a starting streamer. So, how are you going to overcome it? What are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what are your opportunities to overcome that threat? Do you become a VTuber? Do you make connections? Do you embed yourself into a community? Do you, talk on Reddit more? As a content creator, if you think of it from, if you're taking it actually seriously, technically everyone is almost your enemy. Now you can turn your enemies into allies, so that is one way to overcome that threat, right? Because everyone, well, I guess not almost everyone, but if you really want to take VTubing seriously, if you want to take it full time, you want to make money, you have to really consider what you're doing. How do you play your cards properly? Yeah, I'm using enemies loosely, but like they're your rivals and your potential threats. So, you know, those are the two kind of core things, you know, that kind of go hand in hand. The big three ways of growth: your discovery, your core, your engagement platforms. Your SOTW, also known as strengths, opportunities, threats, and weaknesses. You want to take it seriously? Really think about these. You know, for me, coordinated digital. Alright, what's our strengths? We have so many talents, we can do a lot of stuff, we have a lot of people, and all of that, and we have a lot of potential. Kermit Bob Ross, thank you so much for the follow, I really appreciate it. Welcome to the game room, I hope you enjoy it. What are our weaknesses? We're not 100% unified. You know, we are on our own schedules, and we're individuals. And you know, some other stuff that I can't say, right? So, what are the threats? V-Shoujo, other VTuber groups. Hololive Nijisanji. Right? What are our opportunities? We're an indie VTuber group that brings a lot of attention to other people. We can make trailers, we can do motion graphics, we can do cinematic stuff. Those are opportunities. You know, you have to really think about like what you're like it just all goes back to your discovery platform, your engagement platform, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, core. And it's no, that's what you face as a VTuber. If you want to take it professionally and seriously, and you want to make a full time out of it, expect to struggle, expect a lot of hard work, expect a lot of work that is off stream, because you're gonna have to work on all of your weaknesses, utilize all your opportunities, and strengthen your strengths, and lessen your weaknesses. Whoops. And once you understand, you know, once you understand that, you can make ambitious moves and potential risk-taking moves that you can gain a lot. You can switch your content from music production to gaming, as long as you understand how your engagement is and what your core is, and knowing the risks and the potential gains, the opportunities. Where's the pay to win option? To be honest, there is no pay to win option. You just get lucky. Because you're always gonna end up spending something. So it doesn't matter if there is a pay to win option or not, you're always spending money no matter what as a content creator. Whether it be video editing, or unless if you do it all yourself. Whether it be, you know, buying games, buying art. Pretty much anything you do for streams is your expenses. And you know, if being broke is a weakness, what can you do about it? How can you turn your weaknesses into opportunities? Pretty important. Pretty important. And it's not fair, and that's kind of obvious. Some people will have a better chance than you do because they have more opportunities and they have more strengths than you do. So, what can you do about that? Yeah, pretty much. You know, and obviously the requirement is time. Algorithm might like you when it will might not like you for 5 years in my case. Until it decides, hey, maybe let's try this person out and see where they get. That's what happened with me. After however many years. So, you know. It is up to luck, and luck just determines on how long it's going to take to get where you want to be. Because if you're actually taking it seriously, you will get somewhere, and you'll be at a different rate, and depending when you get that luck chance, you better make use of it, like Milky did. You know, if you squander an opportunity, you have lost an opportunity cost. And, you know, also know on how much effort you're actually willing to put into what you're doing. Because you know, it's a time investment. It's a serious time investment, and if you don't love what you're doing, you have a high chance of failing. So, know what you're getting into. Yeah. So the next part is like, you know, your mentality about it. Do you love streaming? If you don't love streaming, don't get serious about it, because you will kill yourself. You will get depressed, you will get sad, and you'll quit streaming. And don't get your hopes up too high, because your hopes will get disappointed. Do you know that you can handle experience failure at the highest level of degree? In my case, my donation-a-thon was a pretty much failure. I had one person donate, and that was my mod. And that's amazing. But as a donation-a-thon, it's a failure. Do you have what it takes to overcome your failures? Do you have the mentality to the mental strength to be able to overcome your failures, learn from them, and improve on them? Or will you just crack and give up? And if you can't do that, I suggest don't take streaming seriously at all. Because you won't make it. Because there are thousands of others who are at least 2 times more serious than you are and will take all the opportunities that they can get. Because you won't get anywhere without taking it for yourself. If you're not willing to put in the effort, if you're not willing to have the mindset to overcome your failures and defeats, you won't make it. Because there are hundreds of others that have that exact same mindset and will make it. Because then you lost your opportunity and you gave another person another opportunity. But hey, and you know, it is normal stuff, but you know, when people do streaming for the first time ever, they expect to get large. And sometimes for a lot of people, it's their first experience at first-hand failure. And I know it sounds really obvious, but a lot of people, streaming is their first hand at content creation or literally creating anything. And where it literally is, in your case, like, you know, if you lose a competition, it's not your fault. Like, that's what a lot of people use. But when you take it to streaming, you seriously feel that it is your fault, that, you know, everything that you did was worthless and useless and not worth it. And for a lot of people, it's their first time experiencing that. And if you're not willing to go through that struggle to get to a point where you can handle that, then, you know, you may want to choose something else than streaming and content creation. So, if you want to take it for fun, do what you want to do, you know? You don't have to worry about literally anything I have said in the past hour. Wait, what did I just say? Right. Well, you know, if you want to take content creation for fun, you know, do it for fun. Don't worry about what I just said. Because, you know, if you want to have fun with it, experiment, and you don't care about what actually happens, go for it. See if you like it or not. And if you love it, maybe you want to take it seriously. If you don't, then, you know, you didn't put in the time and effort, and you didn't waste time. You know, that's that is kind of what content creation is, in my opinion. Whether you agree or disagree, take it as you will. This is my opinion for streaming for 6, almost 7 years now, and I've watched content creators go up and down for the past 9 years. I've seen people rise to the very peak of streaming 8 years ago and fall to the very bottom. And I've seen people rise all the way up to the top more recently. And all the way down, straight downhill. This is what I've learned from watching, doing it myself, and experience it. So, take it as you will. But that's what I've learned, and that's what I've taught people. And, you know, whether they agree or make it their own, it's up to them. But, you know. Take the knowledge as you will. Try it yourself. Do what you want to do. And all of that. Then take the parts that you agree on and accept them. If you disagree with some of the things that I've said, then change them and make them agreeable for yourself. Whatever satisfies yourself and what you think is right. Because I'm just someone who has not done any I'm not someone with the professional marketing. I am just a streamer who has existed for 6 to 7 years and has been watching streamers since 9 years ago. So, take it as you want. It's better than nothing. You know, a lot of people get into streaming with no knowledge whatsoever. And that's fine, but, you know, knowledge is power. And even if you are, you know, streaming, and you have been streaming for a while, still this can be useful because, you know, you might be taking it seriously, but you might not have the knowledge, which, you know, it's important to know, like, where your knowledge stands and what you want to do, because you might have just not known about these things, and that's completely fine. So, it's important to know some things, and you might just not know about these things that even exist. Yep. What do you guys think about that? For those who are new, for those who are new to streaming, for those who are just, you know, people watching, listening to me rant about streaming and VTubers and all this dumb crap that doesn't matter to you, or, you know, to the lurker who just doesn't even want to feel like typing, you know, keep lurking, man. And also know that the system can, you know, work against you. Because they can, like, it also is part of the luck where it's kind of really dumb. Like, literally. You might have someone who just does memes and is more popular than you and then moves over to streaming as a casual thing and gets more popular than all your effort. So, you know, be prepared to be jealous, envious, but learn how to convert that envy, jealousy, and do something else. Learn how to turn your weaknesses into strengths. Like Zentreya. She doesn't talk on stream. That's a huge weakness. So what do you do to turn your weakness into your strength? What do you do to turn your jealousy into motivation? How do you do that? How do you turn your envy into motivation / inspiration? You know, I even struggle with that, you know? I see hundreds of people that I know, not hundreds, but I see many of my friends get success. And while I've been doing this for such a long time, I've been doing what I think is right. And then when I told them what they do is right, and then they do it and then get succeeded, it's still hard for me to, you know, turn that into inspiration, motivation, etc. It's not an easy thing to do. And not many can actually do it either. Some people, like, you know, life isn't fair by no means, so apply that to streaming as well. Streaming is not fair. Sometimes it just favors some people for the most randomest of reasons, and even though you've been doing way much more work than others have. Because that will happen, and you see a bunch of people like that, and you know, it's kind of what happens. But the most important part is don't lose your opportunities. Because you don't get them very often. So you waste them, who knows where you'll be. Because I've definitely wasted my opportunities many times over, and this is where it's led me. So, you know, if you see an opportunity, take hold of it for yourself. Don't waste it. It's the most important part. Yep. Pretty much. So Tife, what do you think about that? Cause you know, you're an upcoming VTuber. And I think you've been listening. You said it's scary, so you know. Why is it scary? And for any other upcoming VTubers as well, if you're lurking in the chat somewhere. Jar Jar, maybe. Or maybe even like, you know, new streamers. Like Shaw. Tech W. I'm just thinking of people who typed in the chat. I'm going to lay back now. There was my 2-hour TED Talk.